Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about a $500 e-bike on Amazon. So we're going to test this thing out. We're going to go for a little bit of a ride and I'll give you my final thoughts. I'll let you know what I think of the Hoverfly e-bike. Let's go. All right, I'm out here riding the Hoverfly Ourea electric bike. This is a full-size e-bike at under $550. And a lot of people recently asked me about e-bikes for beginners, one that isn't that expensive. You don't need to break the bank to get into the world of e-biking. This is a great entry-level one. It has some of the specs that you would get in some of the higher-end bikes without some of the frills, and so we'll talk about that today. So what kind of a bike is it? Well, it's a 750 watt peak motor. That'll get you about 20 miles per hour. It has a 40-mile range, and that is done with a removable battery, so you have the ability to remove the battery in the winter, which is a big thing if you're new to e-bikes. You don't want your e-bike battery to be in sub-zero temperatures. It does have a 7-speed shifter, so if you don't want to use the battery or the motor, you can just pedal like a normal bike. You have the option to do that. You can either just throttle it, you can use pedal assist, or you can just use it as a bike. And then if you see a hill you don't want to tackle, you can turn it on. Pretty neat. It does have a shock absorber to it. Now it's a lockable shock absorber, so if you want it to be soft or stiff, you get to decide. Comes in two different colors. I got the black one here, but you could also get it in white. The time that I ordered this, they didn't have the white one available, but they do right now. And I'll put links to this right down in the description section of this video so you can get to this exact one, and then you can just choose if you want the white or the black one. It is a very lightweight frame. I did want to mention that. That is one of the benefits of this bike, is it only comes in at like 54 pounds. I mean, it's really incredibly light, and if you remove the battery, it's even lighter. So if you want to take it, stick it on a bike mount, you absolutely can do that. It's really easy to do that. Now this bike, like I said, has 4 different riding modes. So, you could just pedal. You can use your speed shifter to give you assistance up the hills. You can do a pedal assist mode, or you can just throttle it. And I think that's the cool thing about e-bikes, is that, if you get hurt when you're out there or you just get tired, it happens. You can just throttle, which I really like when it comes to e-bikes. Now, if you compare this to some of the other e-bikes on Amazon in this price range, you will notice that the ratings aren't quite as good. And if you actually look at it, most of them have around 16-inch or smaller tires. You want to have bigger tires, guys, so at least 20-inch tires I would recommend on an e-bike if you are a full-size adult. All right, it's time for my final thoughts. I know I went over all the specs here while I was riding, and it did ride pretty good, but I am going to go over a couple things. So I just want to remind everybody that this is a $500 e-bike. This isn't a $1,000 e-bike. This isn't a $2,000 e-bike. So putting it into perspective, it's actually not a bad ride at all. In fact, it was quite comfortable. The seat is a lot more comfortable than I thought it would be because it is a very small seat, a little bit narrow. I do like a little bit wider seats, but that can be replaced. You can actually get seats on Amazon as well for next to nothing. I think I found a really good one for about $30 that I probably would replace this one with, but it wasn't bad out of the box. Now this model does come with fenders. I did have the fenders off for this video because they were sent separately and I didn't want to put them on. It's a personal preference. Didn't really like the look of them. They're kind of flare fenders. They kind of go up a little bit, but they do come, so you do get that. There's also another upgrade. They do a water bottle holder and a little bag. So it is kind of nice, the little things that they give you, and all that can be found on the link down in the description section of this video when you get this bike. So let me just talk about a couple things. So what I liked about this e-bike, it is actually pretty light. So being able to put this on a bike mount on the back of my Jeep would be very easy to do. So weight-wise, it's nice. It also has a lockable front suspension. So if you do like to adjust your suspension, you certainly have that ability. It also has the same Shimano shifter that are on a lot of $1,000 or $2,000 e-bikes, so it does have a good shifting system as well. And the brakes worked pretty good. I'm not going to say that they were perfect, but they did work pretty good. So I don't have any complaints there. You can adjust brakes, no problem. The tires do have some grit to them. They're not that big. They're pretty narrow. So I like to do a lot of off-road biking. So for me, I want a little bit wider tires. So I would have liked that, but these are actually pretty good tires. They have pretty good grit to them. Battery is removable. I do personally prefer e-bikes where the battery is kind of hidden in the frame. It just kind of protects your battery in different weather environments. So, I mean, for example, if it rains on you, this type of battery is probably not the ideal one. It does have a nice little protector for it. So this is your charging port, and this is really the only place on a bike where if water gets into it, it could potentially damage it. Everything else is pretty protected, and it does have a nice locking, and not really locking, but kind of a cover for it. I do like the plug ones better though, because water can still get in there. And since this isn't inside the frame or under the frame, there's really no way to protect it. So I wouldn't ride this personally in the rain if I was worried about it at all. But again, it's only $500. So even if you rode this for a year and then something happened, you could replace it very inexpensively with the same exact model. So now that I talked about things about this on my final impressions that I liked, let me talk about something I didn't like. So there's actually a couple things. So the first and foremost, I didn't like the display. This is a display that a lot of lower end e-bikes use, and it does not have a full display. So you don't know how fast you're going. You really don't know if the gears are helping you at all, the different speed levels, because it doesn't show you your actual speed. And if you're on bike trails and things like that, they do have speed limits, so you can only go so fast. Like we have one bike trail that 15 miles per hour is the max. We have another that 20 miles per hour is the max. So they do allow e-bikes on there, class 1 and class 2, but only at a certain speed. Now, most class 2 e-bikes, you pedal it, you get up to 28 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour straight throttle. That's what makes it a class 2 e-bike. So on this bike here, I could potentially be going faster than 20 miles an hour and I wouldn't know, and I don't want to bother anybody. So I would like a one that has a speedometer. Now obviously you can put a phone mount, you can add a free app, and you can find how fast you're going. So not the end of the world, but I would have liked that. The grips here are kind of a hard rubbery plastic. They're not comfortable at all. In fact, I could see on long rides I might get blisters on my hands and I have to wear bike gloves. So I would have liked that. Also, there's no way to mount rear view mirrors into the handles with these types of grips, so you'd have to put one on your handlebar and kind of go out. I like at least to have one rear view mirror, especially if I'm going to be on road. So these are just some of the things that I would like as upgrades. But again, guys, $500 for the Hoverfly e-bike is a really good value. So if you are on a budget, this might be a good option for you. If you aren't necessarily on a specific budget and you want maybe a little bit better bike, I have other videos on some more high-end, more expensive bikes as well. We kind of like to cover everything from really inexpensive ones, and this is kind of an in-between, inexpensive and kind of a mid-range, and then we have mid-range, and then we have high-end $2,000-$3,000 e-bikes as well on this channel. So we kind of cover everything here. But again, this is the Hoverfly. If I find any coupons, I will be sure to share that with you down in the description section of this video. I'll also put it as the top comment so you can find it. Now I always rate all my e-bikes at the end of my video, so I'm going to rate this one. It's going to be no different. I am going to rate it on a general scale, so not just in this class. It's the only way to be fair. I do look at value, I do look at ride, comfort, all that power, torque, speed. I look at all of the factors, but really the main grade is based on value. So 10 would be perfect, and I've never had one of those. I'm still waiting for that perfect e-bike. 1 would be don't buy it. So I put this rate at 6.7, which is above average. 5 would be average. It's above average because of the value. To be able to come in right around $500 and actually be an e-bike with decent range and decent speed, decent power, it's actually pretty impressive. Guys, if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to us, comment down below. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Again, the link to this will be in the description section. Any discount codes I find, any of that will be right down there for you. Hope you enjoyed this video. New to the channel, please do subscribe. And again, reach out to us if you have any questions about this or any bike that we've shared on our channel. Thanks again, everybody. Bye.